Warning. Warning. The Thomas Butcher podcast is about to begin. Seek immediate shelter. This is not a drill.
All right. You done a good job pressing the play button because I'm here with writer, producer, director, podcaster, Jesse McAnally.
Fantastic. It's good to be back. It's my grand return.
Yes. I think that was the last time I saw you when you were on for over the summer.
Yeah, that was the last time we
Time flies. What happened?
Oh, Lord. I played a few festivals, started my own podcast, won a few awards, made another
Nice.
film that had a bunch of screenings.
I wanted to talk to you because you have a lot going on.
Always.
So before we get into that, of course, last time you were here, we were talking about your short film After Ashes.
Mm-hmm.
So it has now completed its festival run.
Yep, completed its festival run.
And how many festivals?
30.
30. Is that a record for you?
Yeah, for me at least.
Nice.
It was one of those rare times where festivals were contacting me and I was like, I don't have to pay. You got it.
Oh, that's great. Was that like nationwide or?
It was international. So it played in India a few times. It played in Mexico and Canada, of course. But that's not really international now, is it?
I mean, I think we have to say it is. It sounds cooler, doesn't it?
It sounds cooler, but I'm trying not to oversell my numbers or anything, like false inflation or anything like that. But yeah, it was interesting.
So now it's online.
Yes, it is officially online for the world to see.
Where can we find it?
It is on, basically if you type in After Ashes short film into YouTube, or if you type my name into Google, it'll pop up. It's 15 minutes long. What are you doing with your life that you can't spare 15 minutes? It's about the Grim Reaper and the zombie apocalypse. Come on.
And it doesn't really feel like 15 minutes, which is good too, because it engages you. It's that type of film where you're not checking your watch. You know what I mean? I'm sure you've sat through some films where you're doing that.
Oh yeah, I've been to enough festivals where I've done that.
So, us creative people, we're like sharks. If we stop swimming, we die.
Yes.
So, walk me through again everything you got going on with yourself.
All right. So since we last spoke, I started up my own podcast. I was more or less inspired by being on here. I was like, this is fun. I want to do this
Isn't
more.
it fun?
Yeah, but I didn't want to just do film because film, as much as I love it and as much as that was where my education was, I'm really just a theater kid at heart, in all honesty. So I started a musical theater podcast for people that don't like musical theater, basically, where I bring my friend on who is this cynical kind of a jerk, but I love him to death, and force him to watch a different musical every week. And the things that most musical theater fans find so commonplace, like random dance numbers, are so strange to the uninitiated.
Oh.
And it's fun watching that reaction. And that's kind of where the joy has been there. And we're getting around 2,000 to 5,000, depending on how good an episode is, per downloads per episode.
Nice.
And each month has had a doubling effect.
Perfect.
On Simplecast, it's 1, 1, 1. I'm like, oh, look at that. And I've gotten the chance to talk and experience with some of my internet heroes, like Brent Black, Brendelfloss, who is a music composer, and he did a lot of videos before. Obscurus Lupa from That Guy with the Glasses, I got a chance to speak with her, and a ton of other people that are just like, yeah, I'll chat about a musical one time with you, and I'm like, all right. And it's strange that if you just say, I have a podcast, people just take you more seriously. I don't know why that is.
I mean, more and more people are doing podcasts, and it's easy to... compared to what it was a few years ago, even, it's so easy now to just set up a podcast and you can have your own show wherever you want to do it. Mm-hmm. How difficult, be honest, how difficult was it for you to actually set it up?
Not very. Because it was fun. It was a passion project. I wasn't making money at first. Well, now I am. I've got an Audible sponsorship and a Patreon. So now it's like, oh God, this is a source of income now. This is painful. I know this is bad, but I'm also a freelancer and I hate dealing with the taxes side of all that. So that's just more stress added to me. And I was like, when I told my co-host, I'll do it if I don't have to deal with any of it. If you deal with all that and I just deal with the creative and the actual work side, I will be a very happy person.
So you get to annoy him with musicals and he takes all of the dirty work too.
Well, I do the editing and all that stuff.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
But that's the fun part. Come on.
Yeah. He wouldn't enjoy that. He enjoys
Yeah.
I want my paycheck and to know that I'm not going to get sued by the IRS for it. So that's interesting. It's a brand new experience. And through it, me and my co-host decided, you know what? We like musicals enough that we should make our own. And we have a source material that is played at 30 festivals, so we're taking that and turning that into a musical.
You're turning that into a musical.
Yes, because I've had a screenplay, a full-length feature screenplay for a while, and I'm like, I will never in my lifetime ever have enough money to make this. But the thing about stage and theater is you could have a black box and just give the implication of things, and you won't have to spend the money on the backdrops or the travel expenses or the actors. You just have to have 1 or 2 nights to play it in front of the right people, and you can get the same effect as you would for an actual like feature film. And I have this belief that musical theater is the best medium for storytelling because it takes everything that you love from a novel, which is the introspective side where people can just tell you their feelings without it feeling weird, as well as the best things about films, which is the visual side. Like you have the concrete like visuals of like a film and like all that while still getting the introspective side of a novel.
How are you just going out and making a musical theater? How do you have the, like, what? That's blowing my mind. How many people do you know, Jesse?
I think it's not that different. It is interesting, like, because I have the theater connections from when I was younger. And believe it or not, there's more theater producers that are like, I've got a theater that you can use and we'll throw some money at it if you want to, like, promote it. It is strangely much easier to put on theater that is good than a film that is good. Because a film is a much longer commitment than 2 weekends.
Right. Wow.
Because a film, like, even if you've got actors, you've got to shoot for, like, over 3 days and do the same thing over and over again, where you just have to do it once or twice, plus rehearsals, if you're doing a theater piece, or even just, like, a staging, like a read-through. So it's all the joy of it without any of, like, the planning, the stress, and location scouting.
So how are you going about, like, with the songs and everything? Because you said you have the story. How are you injecting the songs into this?
Well, basically, it's a form of starting from scratch and taking elements. You read through any script or any story, like even Tarantino's work, there are moments that sing, and you could be like, that is a moment where a song could be there. And you could get that introspective. And Stephen Sondheim once said that the joy about film is that they don't need the song because you can say everything you can say in a song in a close-up. And that's the truth. So anytime you're seeing that intense emotion in someone in a film, you could turn that right into a song.
Nice. I never thought of it like that. You really opened my eyes to this. That's wonderful. I'm really excited to see what you're going to do with that. Do you have a timeline?
Yes. This summer, the composer who is my co-host and another friend of his, and I'm the librettist, which is lyricist and book writer, essentially. They're coming down in, I want to say, late July, early August. I have a musical director who is coming in bringing instrumentalists, and we're recording demo of the first act, which is basically 7 or 8 songs that we'll then use to try to raise money for, like, the reading, which we're hopefully going to do late next year, or late this year.
You're going to be back on the podcast a few times, it seems, at this rate, because you have the podcast you do, you have a theater production you're working on. You just also have completed a documentary. What was your involvement in this? What's this about?
It was about Aaron Whitaker, who is a Detroit artist who I started out as a fan of. I literally went to one of his art shows and picked up one of his pieces of art, and I was like, I want this in my house. And I bought it. Then about 2 months later, he is like, I've watched some of your work, and I want you to, I'm about to do this 48-hour period where I have to nonstop make work, and I think it would be neat if you documented it. And I was like, you know what? That sounds like fun. I haven't done anything like that before. And for about 2 to 3 weeks, I just followed him around, asked him questions, and that was in August, so right after I met with you. So it was like a quick turnaround. Like, he emailed me at the beginning of August, and I was filming by the 3rd week of August. And by December 31st, like the end of it, like that was my deadline, and I turned it into him on the last day because it takes pressure to make a diamond. I gave it to him, and he's like, I love this. We're setting up an event. And he held it at the Fisher Theater, and a lot of people showed up, and it was really wonderful, and I got to stand there and watch him beam with pride at something that we all created. And I was the director and editor, as I mostly am, but really, when you're doing a vanity project like that, they're the star. It's not like After Ashes where it's like, my script and all that. They're the star, and you have to be aware of that.
Gosh, that's wonderful. Is there anything else you're hiding from me at this point?
No, I don't think so, unless I give him one more second to think about it. Oh, I might be doing another short this summer.
Yeah?
That's a good one. I just really wanted to do a horror film, like a straight horror film.
What's your style in general? Because it seems like you're doing stuff that's, involving darker elements.
The darker elements are mostly just so I don't get bored, if that makes sense, because you need to throw a wrench into any story you're telling. You can't just be like happiness throughout and then it ends, or conflict throughout, or couple gets into a fight, because then I'm like, well, that's just normal life. I'd be much more interested in the couple that fights and then they realize, oh God, this guy's coming after me, but they're still dealing with the argument as they're like running away from the serial killer. Or I'm always a big fan of fantasy elements being dropped into the middle of something you think is normal, like normality turned into fantasy, and you're like, when did that step in? And then you watch it again, and you, whether intentionally or unintentionally by the director, see hints of that beforehand. I find that insanely interesting and a fun challenge.
So is that the same outlook you have into this next short film?
Yes, actually. I'm just going to spoil it here because fuck it. Oh, I said a swear. I can't
you're
be doing
fine.
that.
You're fine.
Is this an explicit podcast now?
It can be.
Okay. Basically, I've always found Dan Aykroyd like one of the most interesting people in Hollywood.
Why?
Because he was once so big for being like the comedy funny man, and now he's so big for being the craziest person alive. Like, he legit believes in aliens. Like, I would not be surprised if 5 months down the road, like, instead of being Me Too'd, he like kidnapped 3 people, locked them in his basement, and said, "Prove to me one of you isn't an alien." And that's essentially the plot of my film. I'm like,
Oh my gosh.
this old time like star, which I'm changing it to be a woman because I just want older women to have more roles.
Right.
And I think it would be a really good like chew the scenery role for an older actress who is like a former Miley Cyrus or Amanda Bynes, and locks them in and forces them to prove that they aren't an alien or something or other. And it's really easy to prove that you are something. It's so hard to prove that you're not something if someone's so convinced of it. And I find that fun to play with. Like, what would I do to prove that I'm not this? So that would be that's basically the premise of the short.
Oh gosh. That's going to be my new favorite of yours, I'm telling you. I love that idea.
I think it's fun. Like, don't steal it from me, internet.
Yeah, don't steal it.
Or do. I'm only making it. I'm only making it because I want to see it. I got enough on my plate, so if you make it, I'll be a very happy person.
Isn't that true though, that you have ideas sometimes where it has to be the next project you make because you just need it to exist?
Yes.
And you're afraid that if you don't make it, it's never going to exist at all. You're the only person that can bring it into fruition.
Basically, because that's how I started when I was in high school, I did YouTube videos, which were musical theater content. But in those days, no one gave a damn about musical theater content, and they still basically don't. But I just wanted some into the ether, so I was like, fine, I'll make it. Maybe someone will do it better than me just to prove me wrong. And I did that for 5 years. That's how I made money in high school. And now I have a chronicle of my entire high school life out on the internet forever. So that's great. No,
excellent. Well, it has its pros and cons.
It does.
I can identify with that. Well, Jesse, it's the most wonderful time of the year.
Oh, yes.
It's award season. Do you get into awards?
I do the night before.
The night before?
Literally the night before. Because if I get all hyped up for it, then I'm just going to be setting myself up for disappointment and anger. Like right now, I know for a fact I've seen every Best Picture film, but everything else is kind of a mystery.
Okay.
So this is going to be fun.
Nice. Nice.
What about you? See, this is the Thomas Butcher podcast, and no one ever asked you a damn question.
Well, I'm just trying to be a good host. I'm trying to give my guests the spotlight. I've seen a number of them. So you've actually, that's interesting. We're like two halves to a whole in this situation, because you probably have seen all of the films, but don't know anything what's going on and who's going to win what. We'll talk about that though. And I've seen some of the films, and I've been reading around the internet trying to get an idea of what's going to happen. So before we do get into the actual awards, though, we have to touch on the ceremony itself, because this will be the first ceremony without a host since 1989.
Yeah, that makes it go faster. That's fine with me.
You think so?
I mean, you're either going to get Chris Rock or you're going to get someone who isn't Chris Rock. Chris Rock has been the only good host we've had in the last 20 years.
I couldn't even tell you. Maybe past Ellen DeGeneres, who else has done it? I mean, Jimmy Kimmel did it last time.
I mean, Billy Crystal and Steve Martin.
Right.
Like, it's all the usual suspects. And I don't know. I'd be the one. If this were a vulgar show, I'd be like, get someone like John Mulaney up there. Like, he would be fun.
I would like John Mulaney, yeah.
Or, what is that one name? Ali Wong. Ali Wong would make me laugh so badly. Yeah. Like, I would be so happy if I just see her just ripping everyone apart.
Right.
Because I want someone that doesn't give a damn about the prestige of the Oscars. And you got Jimmy Kimmel who's like, oh, this is such a great night, and everyone's so important.
Yeah.
And that's what drove those last two to be boring.
Well, the only reason they had him back, I think, was because of that whole
we get a redo
thing at the end of it with the La La Land and the Moonlight situation.
La La Land was Best Picture for 5 minutes.
I know. Not even. They were giving their speeches. This is the greatest thing that's ever happened to me. By the way, you didn't win. Yeah.
Well, they won Best. They won a bunch of other things.
I mean,
night.
Hell, they were nominated. How can you complain after just being nominated?
Bro, I would be so angry.
I'm sure you'd be angry.
I'm imagining myself in that situation where you've got the nominations, you're all dressed up, and even if you're like, I don't want to win, you do want to win. Like, you want that.
I mean, sure, it's an honor to win, but at the end of the day, I mean, being nominated and making money doing what you love, is that much to complain about?
I mean... It's my girlfriend often brings this up whenever I'm talking about like how I'm not reaching my peaks of success, where the story of they surveyed a man who just lost his legs on a man who just won the lottery. Say they won on the same day and he lost his legs on the same day. Sure, that one day the guy who won the lottery is going to feel better and the guy who lost his legs is going to feel like trash. 1 year later, they're both feeling the same way because we all maintain our homeostasis no matter what happens to us. We're all going to be equally as miserable as we are, no matter what successes we have, and we're all going to be equally happy and find that resurgence no matter what comes our way negatively. So we might as well try to figure out where we're going to fit into that.
All right. I wasn't expecting to get psychological. I agree with you.
Well, the thing is, like, no matter what, get the Oscar, don't get the Oscar, next year it's not going to matter.
Right. So you're saying everything kind of evens out.
I'm being a nihilist for a moment.
Besides the host thing, I don't know how I feel about this other part of it. I don't know if they're still doing it either, but they're talking about awarding certain categories during the commercial break.
I don't know. The Tonys do that all the time.
Do they?
And they play like little clips of it, like, here's what you missed. And I was like, oh, I guess I didn't need to see Jason Robert Brown win a Tony. All right. I mean, if they still record it, post it the next day, that's fine. Because the main reason why no one watches the Oscars is because it's so long, so self-indulgent. And I think if we're cutting down on a little bit of it, as long as we have it for the history, like on YouTube, or they get that for themselves, I don't see an issue with that. Because in the end, we're talking about television programming paid by advertisers.
Sure.
Like, it's nice to think about how these poor filmmakers and how are they going to survive, but really, it's just like...
Well, I think what's happening is that, and the reason people are complaining about it to a certain extent is that what if... Basically, what they're saying is that your work isn't as important as all this other stuff, and they're catering to the celebrity aspect of it too much. And I thought the whole point of the Oscars is to be a celebration of film as a whole, as a medium, because there's a lot that goes into it. So I think that's where people are not having, they're starting to have a problem with it because of the message that it sends, and where your award and your work isn't worthy to be broadcasted live as much as this other stuff. But I totally get what you're saying, and I agree with you how they've turned it into this whole money maker and it's all a ratings game, and they have sponsors and all that stuff, and that's why they're doing it. But it's a give and take.
At the end of the day, it's all about getting asses into seats.
Right.
Really, that's all that this is about. Like in any other work field, this is just an industry standard event. Like they could have easily, like, it would be like televising the Fishers award ceremony for who got the most fish. It's just an industry standard event as anything else. Every single field of work has it. It's just that we know actors, so therefore it gets aired.
Right.
So that's all I see it as. And that might not be the most romantic view of it, but it's probably the most honest interpretation of it that most people should think of. Mm-hmm. If you think your work is good, it doesn't matter if you get that little gold statue that's going to peel away for the next 25 years.
And if we take this even further, we're just a single blue dot floating in a space with nothing around, and we're not important at all. How insignificant are we really, Jesse?
In 500 years, who's going to care that La La Land didn't win? Or Kevin Hart didn't host? I'll still be mad James Gunn got fired.
Oh, yeah.
Call back to episode 45.
Yeah, I don't mean to stray too much from this, but I think he's involved with that next Suicide Squad movie now. And
thank God for that. I'm going to talk about some people that deserve to be fired and their career destroyed as we talk about this.
Oh, boy. Yeah, let's get into some of these award nominations. So I'm going to work backwards how Wikipedia has it. Best visual effects.
All right.
Our nominees: Avengers Infinity War, Christopher Robin, First Man, Ready Player One, and Solo: A Star Wars Story. I've seen 2 of these.
I've seen all of them. My money's on First Man.
First Man. Why?
The Academy loves to place its money on the ones that are integrated well. They don't often care about what they create. They're not a big fan of world building. They'd much rather be impressed by the Forrest Gump style of wow, that feather landed on his shoe. How did they do that? And JFK brought back from the dead.
Did they win visual effects for Forrest Gump?
Yeah.
Really?
Mm-hmm. That was impressive at the time. How did you get an actor in there? And how it was one of the very first pieces of CGI where everyone's how did they blow that feather so it moved that way?
All right. First Man. I haven't seen it. I know I want to. That's the what's his name? Damien Chazelle.
La La
yeah.
Land.
Yeah.
Mr. La La Land.
Mr. La La Land. He's back to win the best visuals. He wasn't nominated for that other stuff. Did you know? The how they say the above the line. So that'll be interesting.
It's like any other thing. Okay, you've had your time. Get back.
Right.
Get back, little guy. Come back in 45 years.
All right, so we're going with First Man. I could agree with that. So I'm with you so far. Best film editing. We got Black Klansman, Bohemian Rhapsody, The Favorite, Green Book, and Vice. What you going with? I've only seen 2 of them again, so I can't help that much.
None of them have specific, particularly grand editing that I'm thinking of. The Favorite would probably be my just best guess.
You think so?
The pacing of that film feels so intense.
Mm-hmm. Again, I haven't seen that yet. I did see Vice. I could see it kind of going to Vice, the way they choose, not only just how they chose to tell the story with editing, going back and forth, but they did the same thing kind of with The Big Short, where, had that same style. I wouldn't be surprised if something like that won. So.
It wouldn't surprise me, but I feel like it would be more of the same because I do believe that editor won for The Big Short.
Did he?
I believe so. If I don't quote me on that. I'm not brilliant. I don't have all the cards in my sleeve.
Right. So that one's up in the air for me. Best costume design. We got The Ballad of Buster Scruggs, Black Panther, The Favorite, Mary Poppins Returns, Mary Queen of Scots for best costume design. Have you seen all of those?
Didn't see Mary Queen of Scots. All the rest I have.
Okay. So what are you thinking?
I'm still thinking The Favorite. That film looks gorgeous. But I know Mary Queen of Scots won, I think, at the Golden Globes, so that one might be up in the air. I haven't seen it, though. I've seen the trailer. Margot Robbie looks cool in it.
Yeah. I've only seen Black Panther from that. I'm not much of help with this.
Black Panther had some nice costumes when they aren't CGI.
Yeah, that's the one thing about that. Here's what I can maybe have a little more to offer for. Best makeup and hairstyling. It seems like they only ever nominate 3 in this category because we got Border. I haven't heard of Border. Mary Queen of Scots and Vice. And I'm going to argue that it's going to go to Vice because last year it went to Darkest Hour because they turned Gary Oldman into Winston Churchill. And when I was watching that movie, I forgot I was watching Gary Oldman. I thought I was watching Winston Churchill because of that makeup. And it's the same thing with Christian Bale in Vice.
Yeah, I'm willing to give it to that. But as soon as we brought this up, all I was thinking of, remember when Norbit got nominated in this category?
How long ago was this?
That was 2008.
I wasn't paying attention in 2008, so. Are you kidding me? You're kidding me, right?
No.
Norbit?
Yeah.
That's Eddie Murphy, right?
Eddie Murphy, because they were like, he turned himself into an old fat woman. How did he do that?
I might be mistaken. Wasn't like one of the Jackass movies nominated too at one point?
Oh, that does not surprise me.
I think it was that Bad Grandpa one.
Yeah, that
think it
sounds like
was.
that sounds like it would be.
Oh gosh.
I don't remember that being specific. They don't know what they're doing at the Academy, I'm starting to believe.
Who is the Academy anyway? Best cinematography. We got Cold War, The Favorite, Never Look Away, Roma, and A Star Is Born. What's gonna win?
What's gonna win? Like if I'm picking from my heart, I'd pick Cold War because that film is just gorgeous looking. Like that film I saw like relatively recently, and that just looks incredible. Sorry, I shouldn't be making eye contact with them.
I haven't seen Cold War.
It's so good.
I can't speak to that. I wouldn't be surprised though if Roma won.
Roma looks
Alfonso
gorgeous.
Cuarón.
But
What? Tell me.
it's just that I loved Roma. I really did. Just the cinematography wasn't like one of the most stunning things about it. Like say Gravity, his other film.
Right.
Or even Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. Like, it wasn't the standout thing. The standout thing was the story, the performances, and the direction.
When you compare it to those other movies that he's done, it's a little different, I think, because it's not as much of a swifting movement that what you're used to. It's a lot of static and a lot of straight panning shots in Roma. But, I mean, while they are very well composed, I don't know what they're going to do because I guess at the end of the day, isn't it kind of a popularity contest? Kind of.
Harvey Weinstein made it so. So another thing he's ruined. Do you really think Shakespeare in Love deserved to win Best Picture? And the same year that Saving Private Ryan came out? Let's think about that, guys.
Well,
Have you even watched Shakespeare in Love?
that was a Best Picture winner.
Yes, because Harvey Weinstein turned it into a political race.
Right.
And he just split the ticket.
Good Lord. Okay, so for Best Cinematography, you're going to stick with, what was it, Cold War?
Cold War, I think it would probably go to Roma, but we might throw a ringer in there and give it to A Star Is Born. It's like, ooh, shaky cam, wow.
Well,
You know what? Sorry. You know what should have been nominated, but
What?
isn't?
What?
Hereditary. Hereditary has some of the best cinematography I've ever seen. Everything is shot from wide and looks like a dollhouse, and it's like so intentional cinematography that it felt planned, and I always appreciate when it's like planned in there and like going with the theme and the content, as opposed to like it looks pretty, which is basically Cold War. Cold War looks pretty.
yeah. If at any point, if there's anything you think got snubbed, let's talk about that because I didn't heard of Hereditary.
Hereditary is like the darkest horror film, like the most bleakest horror film I've ever seen, and really I still think about it every single day since I've seen it. Like,
oh, wow.
It's incredible. And Toni Collette's performance alone deserved to be nominated for Best Actress, and it isn't.
Best Production Design is something that escapes me usually. It's something that I'm not really in tune with. I can kind of see it, but like I couldn't predict to save my life. So we got Black Panther, The Favorite, First Man, Mary Poppins Returns, and Roma. Best Production Design. I really don't know.
The thing about the Academy is they like it when it's showy. Like, Roma has great production design, but it's not showy. It's not a show-offy thing. Whereas The Favorite very much is. It's like, look, old 18 times. Like, look at it, old times. And so same with First Man.
Okay, so you're saying between The Favorite and First Man because they're more period pieces.
Yeah, period pieces almost always win production design, unless it's like some crazy new world
Okay. Now, I said I'm not great at predicting production design. Same thing goes for the sound editing and sound mixing. I feel like a lot of people are the same.
Remember when Hacksaw Ridge won that?
It did, didn't it?
Insane.
So mixing, we'll start with mixing. Black Panther, Bohemian Rhapsody, First Man, Roma, A Star Is Born. I'm going to guess A Star Is Born because of the music.
See, I was going to guess First Man because the song's similar, but yeah, I'm with you.
I mean, I haven't seen Bohemian Rhapsody, though, either, so it could have just as easily go to that.
Nope.
No?
Nope.
Why not?
It could because they're like, oh, I like Queen. The music sounds nice, but really, it's some of the weirdest mixing where you have like Rami Malek just talking his normal voice, and then they just overdub him with Freddie Mercury's like direct, like just taken from like old tape cassette, like vocal alone, like singular vocal, but it's just obviously just Freddie Mercury's voice. And I'm like, oh god.
So we're saying between A Star Is Born and First Man, then.
Yep.
Okay. Sound editing. We got Black Panther, Bohemian Rhapsody, First Man. It's almost identical. A Quiet Place, and Roma.
A Quiet Place might sleeper this, but I'm still gonna say First Man.
First Man on that too. Okay. I think that might be one of the only things A Quiet Place is nominated for.
That's a tragedy.
Yeah, it is. We'll talk more on that soon. Best Original Song, All Stars from Black Panther. I'll Fight from RBG. That's that documentary on Ruth Bader Ginsburg. The Place Where Lost Things Go from Mary Poppins Returns. Shallow from A Star Is Born. And When a Cowboy Trades His Spurs for Wings from The Ballad of Buster Scruggs.
It's going to Shallow.
It's going to Shallow. I'm going to go out on a limb here. If Shallow does not win in this category, it'll be the biggest tragedy in the Academy's history.
And Lady Gaga will personally take a dump on the stage.
It's a great song. Don't you think so?
I think it's pretty good. I don't think it's even my favorite in the movie, but that's not anything against that song itself.
Right.
Like
there's a lot of great music in that movie.
I was just happy to have another Lady Gaga album disguised as a movie soundtrack. I'm not gonna lie. That movie. We'll talk about that.
Okay.
We'll get to that.
We'll get to it. Okay, so we're agreeing on Shallow.
Yeah, Shallow's gonna
Best Original Score. We got Black Panther by Ludwig. I don't know if I can say that. Göransson. Black Klansman by Terrence Blanchard. If Beale Street Could Talk by Nicholas Britell. Isle of Dogs, Alexander Desplat. That's probably not how you say that.
No, it's perfect.
Is it?
Alexandra Desplat. Yeah.
Okay. And Mary Poppins Returns, Mark Scheinman. So Best Original Score. I'm surprised Justin Hurwitz wasn't nominated.
Yeah, because he won the Golden Globe.
Yeah. So, what's happening here?
I think they might have taken him out just so that Black Panther could steal that.
You think so?
Because
You think Black Panther has to win something, and that's the only thing it could win?
I don't think that's the only thing it could win, but I feel like...
Well, that's not how I meant for it to come off, but I feel like while it's nominating everything, as it is deservedly so, I don't think it's, spoiler alert, I don't think it's going to win in many of those other categories.
No, I agree. I think that's quite possibly what it did, because I understand the voting process of the Academy. I don't quite understand the nomination process.
Okay, so we're going to look at Black Panther. Anything wouldn't surprise me at this point.
Yeah, like those aren't big choices. Like none of those are they're all generally okay soundtracks. Black Panther's the only one that's like relatively interesting.
Right. Best animated short film. Have you seen any of them yet?
I have not seen any of those.
So we have no idea what we're doing with this.
Nope. Give me the names. I'll pick the most interesting sounding name.
Animal Behavior. What is it? Bao? That's that short from they played before The Incredibles 2.
Oh yeah, I was very confused at that.
A lot of people were.
Well, not because of the content. Like I understood the story entirely, and I understood the message of the story and all that. But I just misgendered the the main character.
The dumpling?
No, not the dumpling. The parent. I thought it was a man, like a father and his child, and I was like, oh, so they were like gay, right? And Miranda was like, no, that was a mother. I was like, are you sure? Are you sure about that?
Moving on. Late Afternoon, One Small Step, and Weekends. Since Bao is the only one I've seen, I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, but I'm going to go with that.
I'm going to go with Weekends.
Do you like The Weeknd? Is that what you're doing?
It's Friday. The weekend's coming. I want it. I'm seeing Phantom of the Opera tomorrow. I'm in a good mood today.
Where's Phantom of the Opera at?
At the Fisher Theater.
The
in Detroit.
Fisher.
That's become a second home to me now, the Fisher
Yeah?
Theater. I'm like there way more than I'm at home.
Best live action short film. I haven't seen any of these yet either.
Nope.
I hope I can.
Read the names.
Detainment. Fauve? That's got to be French or something. Marguerite. Mother. Not the Jennifer Lawrence one. And Skin.
I'm going with Skin.
Skin
Skin is my vote.
by Guy Native and Jamie Ray Newman.
You got this, Jamie. Jamie guy. I'm in your corner.
Yeah, I don't know what to do with this. Best documentary short.
All right.
Black Sheep, Endgame, Lifeboat, A Night at the Garden, period, end of the sentence. Have you seen any of these? Do you know what any of them are about?
No, but I really want to see period end of the sentence now. I want it to be a real big, intense documentary about punctuation. Like, here's how we developed the exclamation point. And the question mark started as this symbol before. And it's just it's basically a video essay.
Right. That's got to be something. I, too, am interested in that. Also, A Night at the Garden. What kind of plot we got going on there? Best documentary feature. Free Solo. Hail Country This Morning, This Evening. That's a long title. Minding the Gap. A Fathers and Sons. And RBG. RBG is the only one I'm familiar with.
I saw RBG. It was good. I saw Mind the Gap, too. That was
Mind the
good.
Gap.
I can't place a vote on any of these. Like, RBG seems a little bit too commercial.
You think so?
But then again, OJ Made in America won, too.
Yeah. Okay.
So I abstain.
Best foreign language film. I already know what's going to win here, but we got Capernaum. That's from Lebanon.
Ooh, I actually have seen that movie. That movie's amazing.
Yeah?
My friend Firas, who is my DP for After Ashes, he was like really big and like, no, this film's going to be big. And it really is. It's a good film.
But is it enough to win? Because
I've seen a lot of people that say it could.
we also have Cold War. Never Look Away from Germany. Cold War was Poland. Roma. Mexico. So you know where this is going.
This is what-
Shoplifters, Japan.
Shit. Yeah, Roma's going to win.
I told you.
But I would love if... I can't even say the name. Capernaum.
Yeah, sure. The Lebanese film.
It's just an interesting premise. Like, a kid sues his parents because he didn't want to be born. Like, that's a crazy interesting premise.
Wow.
Like, it's dark, it's mean, and I have a real deep connection to the Lebanese culture. Like, my Firas, my DP, is like one of my closest friends, and he has educated me a lot. So that film has a lot meaning to me. Where Roma, as amazing as it was, like, not as much deep-rooted connection to myself. So.
And that is understandable. I always have personal favorites where I'm like, this should win, but it's
Yeah.
not going to. Best animated feature. We got Incredibles 2, Isle of Dogs. How do you say that? Mirai? I don't know how to say it. Ralph Breaks the Internet 2. Or, yeah, just Ralph. So that was Wreck-It Ralph 2, Ralph Breaks the Internet. And then Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
I'm really hoping Into the Spider-Verse world. That's like one of the most fun
That
films I've ever seen.
won the
theater.
Golden Globe for animation. And so I think that does give it an edge over like something like Incredibles 2.
Have you seen it?
I haven't seen it, but I know from all the commercials it's 100% fresh on Rotten Tomatoes.
Like, I remember just jaw on the ground during that entire film. Like, and I walked out, like, and I really like the Marvel films. I like them a lot. They're not perfect works of art, but I like them. And I just turned to my girlfriend, and I'm just like, that might be the best superhero film I've ever seen.
Wow.
And it stands up. Like, I've seen it 2 times afterwards, just because, like, Imagine gives you free tickets on your birthday. So.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Imagine is the best theater in Michigan, and it's spreading across the Midwest, and Paul Glantz is a really nice guy.
Okay, so I'm not going to be surprised if Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse wins, so I think we're agreeing there.
You should watch it. You should watch it.
I know. I got to catch up on a lot of these, as you can see. I don't know how you have all this time to watch. I'm struggling as it is.
I don't know how I have to watch these movies.
I don't know if, honestly, I don't know if I've ever been able to watch every single, like, even just the best picture category. And I've only been watching for like 5 years since out of like high school. That's when I've been paying attention. But even so, like, I haven't been able to look at this stuff. Best adapted screenplay. We got The Ballad of Buster Scruggs by the Coen brothers. Black Klansman, Can You Ever Forgive Me, If Beale Street Could Talk, and A Star Is Born. Best adapted screenplay.
I think I'm going to give it to Black Klansman.
Black Klansman?
Yeah, I think they're really gunning for Spike Lee to win an Oscar, and I think that'd be the way place to put it.
He's one of, what is that? There's 3 other people besides him nominated for it, too. Yeah.
Yeah, that's my bet, because, like, The Star is Born, same screenplay as the previous one, and the previous one before that, and the previous one before that.
So all that really changed was the music.
The music and the specifics, yeah.
Right. Okay. I can see that. Best original screenplay. We got The Favorite, First Reformed. I don't know if I saw that. That's barely nominated for anything else. Green Book, Roma, and Vice.
Perfect role, it would go to Roma, but it's probably going to go to Green Book because everyone is trash. Everything is trash.
Why do you say that? Why do you say that?
Because Green Book is a surprising, like, sweeper, because it makes a lot of old people feel real good about themselves. And it's fine. It's not anything amazing. It's like a film your mom would watch and be like, oh, that was great.
Right.
And it bothers me that it's the front runner to win Best Picture. Like,
Right.
It would be like if a Lifetime movie won.
Wow.
A Christmas Caper. Best Picture.
Now, Green Book, it did win the Golden Globe for Best Screenplay.
Yes, it did.
So it does have the edge there. However, I'm going to be surprised to see how this turns out because wasn't there some controversy with Peter Farrelly recently?
When isn't there a controversy? Well, Peter Farrelly and the other screenwriter, like both of them have had things. Like Peter Farrelly apparently was whipping out his genitalia at people, and the other screenwriter like said the N-word on Twitter and like
I didn't know about that one.
A bunch of President Trump's tweets saying like, "Yeah, lock him up," and referring to like indigenous children, I believe. Yeah, bad things.
Interesting. All right, now we've really reached the ones that a lot of people are going to be looking at.
All right,
so
let's go.
We're going to look at Best Supporting Actor first.
Let's go.
So we got, and you don't know any of these still, right?
I don't know, so let's figure it out.
Nice. Best Supporting Actor: Mahershala Ali, Green Book; Adam Driver, Black Klansman; Sam Elliott, A Star Is Born; Richard E. Grant, Can You Ever Forgive Me; Sam Rockwell, Vice.
My money, if I were the one picking these, it would go to Sam Elliott.
Why?
Sam Elliott was the best part of A Star Is Born and the most emotionally gripping part, and the Oscars is very big on giving its older actors their chance, especially like because Adam Driver and all those other wonderful performers are going to be here for a while. And
Right.
Mahershala Ali just
You'll keep seeing them show up.
Yes, where Sam Elliott, how much longer is he going to be around?
Probably not. You'd be surprised. Who's that guy? Is it Michael Douglas? He's still around?
He's still around, but
Or is it Kirk? I forget who's who.
Michael Douglas is still around.
Okay.
But they pulled the same thing with what's the old man that replaced Christopher Plummer? He was in a
Right.
film called Beginners that nobody cared about, where he played an 81-year-old man that comes out as gay, and it was a fine film, and his performance was fine. But they're like, well, he did pretty good in there, and how much longer is he really going to live? Let's give him this Oscar right here. And I feel like they're going to do that here, except I think Sam Elliott deserves it a lot more than Christopher Plummer did.
Now, as much as I would love to see Sam Elliott win for A Star Is Born, I got some bad news for you.
Oh, no.
Because Mahershala Ali, who the Academy does love, he's won the Oscar for Supporting Actor before for Moonlight. He's won at both the Golden Globes and the SAG Awards.
I completely understand that, but I do think it is a little bit unfair. It's like when, what was that? Jennifer Lawrence just kept getting nominated for a while. I think she only won once, if I remember. Maybe.
I think so, yeah.
I think it's going
For
to be
Silver
one of those,
Linings?
I
Yeah.
think it's going to be one of those situations where he's just going to keep showing up. Mm-hmm. And especially with all the myriad of controversies around Green Book and around him having to defend his like writers and directors and all that, like I feel like that might have tempered like the voting a bit on this. But we'll see. I feel like if Sam Elliott had at least been nominated for the Golden Globe, which he wasn't, he might have changed things a bit.
Right. Okay. So we'll see what happens. I would love to see Sam Elliott win.
Wouldn't
so
you?
we're together. Best Supporting Actress. We got Amy Adams for Vice, Marina del Tavira for Roma, Regina King for If Beale Street Could Talk, Emma Stone, The Favorite, Rachel Weisz, The Favorite.
I'm gonna give this to Regina because she's really good in If Beale Street Can Talk. Mm-hmm. That was a really good movie, and she killed it, and she won the Golden Globe for it. So
She did.
That gave her the edge, and really all the other performances, as fine as they were, really don't stand out quite as much as her. Like, she seems like the obvious choice.
Mm-hmm. And what was interesting to me, as you said, she won the Golden Globe. However, she didn't win the SAG Award for Supporting Actress because Emily Blunt won it for A Quiet Place. And Emily Blunt, for A Quiet Place, isn't nominated for an Oscar. That's pretty rare, don't you think?
Yeah, but now I'm just remembering how she was nominated for an Oscar for Into the Woods, and I'm like, what was that?
Oh, yeah.
That was weird.
She was Into the Woods?
Emily Blunt? Yeah, she was the baker's wife.
That's right. There are so many people in that movie.
That movie tries so hard.
You had Meryl Streep and then James Corden or whatever his name
Meryl
is.
Streep is literally the worst part of that movie.
Yeah. I heard she was kind of like, well, I did see it, but
I heard, but I did see it.
I also heard from people that it was kind of just like, you know.
Well, the musical is so like groundbreaking and interesting and
Right.
breaks the fourth wall and does all these interesting things that you just can't do in a film. So why make a film?
Right. Well, you got me there. We're going to go to Best Actor.
Okay.
We got Christian Bale, Vice. Bradley Cooper, A Star is Born. Willem Dafoe, At Eternity's Gate. He was Vincent Van Gogh in that. Rami Malek for Bohemian Rhapsody. And Viggo Mortensen for Green Book. Best Actor.
I think they're going to give it to Rami Malek, in all honesty.
Because Rami Malek has won the Golden Globe for Actor Drama and also the SAG Award for Lead Actor.
Do you ever see films where you're like, oh, they're going to win the Oscar, but they're only specifically really good at one scene? It's the I'm dubbing it the Anne Hathaway effect.
Really? Because of that Les Mis?
Yeah, she's
Yep.
good in one scene, the one shot of I Dreamed a Dream, and then that's good for her 15-minute performance to win her an Oscar. So Rami Malek, when he's coming out to his wife as bisexual, that scene is incredible and is the one scene that really, really works in that film. Everything else, he's just going through the motions and not really a character. He is an amalgam of what all the rest of Queen want this person to be, which is this ragamuffin, annoying person that is never on time. And basically it's a destruction of Freddie Mercury the man, because the rest of the members of Queen want to be seen as the good ones. And for years and years and years, Sacha Baron Cohen and the director of Les Mis, Tom Hooper, were supposed to make a Freddie Mercury biopic that this inevitably became. But the members of Queen refused to let their music be used unless they had creative control. And they refused to have the film end with Freddie Mercury's death, because it's like, I want the story of Queen to go on after his death. And they're like, this is a Freddie Mercury film. No one gives a damn what happens after he died. You people aren't interesting. And so Sacha Baron Cohen, after 7-8 years on that project, left it, and they shat together this in, what was it, less than a year. The director left 3 weeks before they finished just because he didn't want to show up anymore.
Wow.
This film is a mess, and the final product shows it.
I haven't seen it yet, so.
The one shining thing at the end of it is Rami Malek in one scene.
Yeah, I mean, the only other person who I wouldn't be surprised if they could swoop in is Christian Bale, because he also won a Golden Globe for the musical or comedy. But yeah, I like I said, I haven't seen Bohemian Rhapsody, so I can't say, oh, he's going to win. But just looking at these other two awards that he's won so far, that's what I'm expecting to happen. So,
I don't know, Christian Bale, I'd be happy if he won, but
has he won before for anything
he won
else?
for the comedy, and I think he won. Oh, maybe.
No, I mean for an Oscar. Has he won anything for?
What was that other one? I can't think of the name. One where he was really skinny.
The Machinist?
Yeah, did he win for that?
I don't know if you did.
I don't know if he did either. Internet, Google it for us.
Yeah, just do it for us. I don't want to do it. Best Actress. We have Yalitza Aparicio. Do you know how to say it?
Nope.
No. Roma That's what she was in. Glenn Close for The Wife, Olivia Colman for The Favorite, Lady Gaga for A Star Is Born, and Melissa McCarthy for Can You Ever Forgive Me?
If I were to have my druthers about this, I would relive the Oscars where Katharine Hepburn and what's her name? Yeah, Barbara Streisand were nominated. Barbara was nominated for Funny Girl, and Katharine was nominated for some artsy film. And they had a tie, giving it to the old favorite and the new buck to symbolize the new start of the Oscars.
Right.
And I think if they're really going to do that, that would be the best way to get it. Get Glenn Close and Lady Gaga and have them both tie it the way that they did with Katharine Hepburn and Barbara Streisand.
And didn't they just tie for some other award show? Was it the Critics' Choice or was it something? It wasn't Golden Globes or SAG, but I know I saw a post where they were together and they won an award together.
Yes.
So it's happened already.
Yes.
To some effect.
I think that's not out of the question. And it is not out of the question for people to tie at the Oscars. They just have to have the same amount of votes or within 1 or 2 votes.
Right.
It's changed depending on it, so it's hard to say.
Because Glenn Close has won the Golden Globe for Actress Drama and the SAG Award. Olivia Colman is the one who won for musical or comedy at the Golden Globes. But I think no matter what, you're going to have Glenn Close in the mix. So it's either going to be Glenn Close by herself. I haven't seen The Wife yet, but people are freaking out about it. It's either Glenn Close by herself or Glenn Close, as you said, tying with someone, if not Lady Gaga.
I mean, the one way that would make me completely happy if Olivia Colman just swoops in somehow. Because she's really good in The Favorite.
Again, I haven't seen it.
And I really love Broadchurch. She's really good in Broadchurch. So.
Yeah. Oh boy. I didn't even realize how behind I was on all of this until going through all of these. I barely have anything to add. Okay, we're almost there. How you doing over there?
I'm doing good.
Best Director. Spike Lee for Black Klansman. Powell Kulski for Cold War. Yorgos Lanthimos for The Favorite. Alfonso Cuarón for Roma. And Adam McKay for Vice.
It's going to be Alfonso Cuarón.
It'll be Alfonso Cuarón.
Like, there's not even a point in this.
No. He won for Gravity. That was the last time he won. Correct me if I'm wrong, but Best Director, it's been going to people who are Mexican or Latino for quite some time now.
They got to stop making the best movies.
No, I'm just thinking about that. Isn't that really something? Because I just want to think. It was
Damien
Alfonso.
Chazelle doesn't count.
No, not him. He did win, didn't he? So he's the exception in this streak. But we had Alfonso Cuarón, I think it was 2013 for Gravity. And then we had Alejandro González Iñárritu back-to-back years for Birdman and The Revenant. So it was La La Land. That was 2016 then. So that was Damien Chazelle. But then we had Guillermo del Toro for The Shape of Water. And now it's probably going to be Alfonso Cuarón again.
God, I wish we had a really weird movie like Shape of Water as the front runner.
Yeah.
Like, I really loved the fact that won so many awards. That's such a goofy movie, and I love it so much.
I know. I was okay with that or 3 Billboards last year. But
3 Billboards had a lot of stuff behind the scenes, like I think Frances McDormand winning was like the best case for
Right,
that,
right.
without everyone burning the Oscars down.
Okay,
That wanted to be the safest Oscars they possibly could, so give it to the Fish fucking movie.
So Best Director, that's going to be easy. Best Picture. We're here.
Yeah,
we made it.
We made it. This is almost as long as the Oscars will be.
We're almost at an hour, so we'll call it after this. We're near the end of the light at the end of the tunnel. Best Picture. And you don't know these.
Nope.
I mean, you can kind of guess by what's been nominated so far. But our 8 Best Pictures, which I have seen 5 of the 8, are Black Panther,
Seeing it.
Black Klansman,
Seeing it.
Bohemian Rhapsody,
Seeing it.
The Favorite, Green Book, Roma, A Star Is Born, and Vice. Before we get into that, I will let us know what happened at the Golden Globes and the SAG Awards. For the Golden Globe, it was Bohemian Rhapsody drama, and in musical or comedy, it was Green Book. And then at the SAG Awards, it was Black Panther. So no clear what do you
Front
call
runner.
it? Yeah, nothing is sticking out at us. It's pretty across the board. I'm not entirely sure what's going to happen. Do you think it's going to go to one of those three that I just mentioned?
I don't know. I honestly don't. Like, I really hope not.
What's your, if in perfect world, what wins?
Roma.
Roma?
Yeah, I feel like that caught a mind of a lot of
So that's going to win both Best Picture and Best Foreign Feature. Has that ever happened before?
That'd be interesting, wouldn't it? I feel like it might not then. Yeah, I forgot that was nominated there.
I don't think it's going to A Star is Born. Star is Born is probably my personal favorite out of these movies. That's what touched me. I don't see Vice winning Best Picture.
This is like such a strange lineup of films.
Right. You're not really seeing.
I don't feel passionate about any of them.
Right.
Like, I've seen them all, and I feel zero passion about them. Like, A Star is Born is probably the one I enjoyed the most. Bohemian Rhapsody makes me mad that it even made it to any Oscar.
You know, leading up to the Oscars, and I was looking at this before they actually made the nominations, it wasn't on any list. It was like a long shot on any list I saw to get nominated.
I think they pulled some Harvey Weinstein shenanigans there. But let me describe to you a scene from Bohemian Rhapsody. Because when I saw this, I was vocally angry. I'm like, what are you doing, movie? Mike Myers plays a character in it.
Mike Myers?
Yes.
What?
He's doing his Austin Powers accent. He's all up in makeup. And he is playing the record producer that doesn't believe the Bohemian Rhapsody will be any sort of a hit. And he's like, no, and he's like, basically it's like the slow pushing on him. And he's like, nobody at any time, any place is going to sit in a car rocking their heads back and forth to Bohemian Rhapsody. And he might as well could have looked in the camera.
That is the ultimate. Oh my gosh.
And I saw that after it was nominated, and I'm like, what the fuck is this?
I want to reiterate to everyone, just so in case you're not realizing what just happened, is that Mike Myers, the guy from Wayne's World, who is pretty famous for lip syncing or singing along with Bohemian Rhapsody in Wayne's World with Dana Carvey, he was the one in this scene who said those things that you just said.
Yes. This serious film that is nominated for Oscars and won the Golden Globe has that moment in it. If it was a film more like in tone with Vice, that would be great. But it's a film that takes itself so seriously.
And then it just has that random moment.
Yes.
Well, if we count out Bohemian Rhapsody, and if we count out, I don't think A Star is Born. I would like
That
A Star
would be
is
the
Born to
ringer.
win.
That would be like the big one. Like, it'd be like, oh, wow, okay.
Yeah.
Bradley Cooper gets to go up there and say a speech.
But I don't think it's going to happen.
Nope.
And like I said, I don't see Vice winning. I just don't see it as a Best Picture winner.
No.
And I know people would like to see Black Panther win, but
You know what? That would probably be the best move for the Oscars.
you think so?
Like, as a not a political move, but as like an entertainment move, like showing that, yeah, you guys, like, normie films can win.
Right, because the last time something that was like a big commercial success, what was it, like Lord of the Rings?
Yeah, probably.
That was the last time something like that won.
Yeah. I mean, in the 70s, all the commercial films won. Like, Jaws was both the highest grossing film of the year and it won Best Picture. Star Wars was like the highest grossing film of the year, and it was at least nominated and was seen as the front runner to win. But
Are you sure Jaws was a Best Picture winner?
I think it was.
Someone
check me on that.
75.
Check me on that. I feel like that was.
I don't know if it was. I know the French Connection was in that, like in the early 70s, and I think you had The Godfather in there around that time.
Well, The Godfather. I've got issues with The Godfather.
We're going back in time now. This is a whole other podcast we're going to get into.
Well, no, because I'm going to talk about like the year The Godfather Oscars. It was the same year that Cabaret came out, and it's so strange that The Godfather won so few Oscars. Like, as well remembered as it is now, like Robert De Niro didn't win Best Supporting Actor. Joel Grey from Cabaret did. Liza Minnelli won Best Actress, and Bob Fosse won Best Director. The only thing The Godfather won was Best Picture.
So you're saying it won less awards, but because it won the big award,
Yes.
that's why it's remembered the way it is.
So I'm wondering, like, what we're going to view as these Best Picture winners in 20 years.
Yeah. It's up in the air. I don't think I can say what's going to win.
Up in the Air deserve to win, too.
Wait. Don't tell me that. You're joking, right?
I liked Up in the Air.
There is an Up in the Air? Is it nominated?
Not
here
this year. That was in 2008.
Oh, before my time. Okay.
Before your
I don't feel so bad then. I'm telling you, I wasn't into this stuff till like
Anna
after
Kendrick
high
was
school.
nominated for an Oscar that year.
Anna Kendrick?
Yeah, that was like one of her first roles, and she was nominated.
Is that where she came on the scene?
It was right after Twilight.
Do you think it's true she didn't remember that she was in Twilight? Do you remember seeing that?
I can only imagine that because how very little she's in Twilight and how many other things she's done since then.
Right.
Like, I don't remember most weekends of my life.
Oh, boy. Well, I guess we'll find everything out on February 24th.
This is a real, like, downfall. Like, we didn't even give really any Best Picture choices. We're a mess, guys.
We should make this a tradition. I think we're running out of steam here. Before we go, remind everyone where they can find your stuff.
All right, so my podcast is entitled Musicals with Cheese. You can find that on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, all the usual places. You can find me at www.jessemcnally.com, and you can find all my stuff. And also, if you just want to talk, like, find me on Instagram at Jesse McNally. I like making new friends. Mm-hmm. And Thomas, promote some of your stuff. I feel like you don't promote it enough.
Gosh, I promote stuff enough. I had Rich Duzensky on last week. I think I'm going to release a new short film online this Monday. You like to stay in festivals before you release online, don't you?
I tend to, but just because like a lot of festivals require you do that.
See, I understand that. I realize that. But I feel like I'm at a point where I'm like, you know what? If you're going to require for my film not to be online, then I'm just not going to submit to your festival. It's more and more festivals are letting you submit online films. And if the big ones like Sundance and South by Southwest are going to let you do it, I think more festivals need to catch up. That's my opinion.
I mean, I agree, but also I'm like, I kind of like the build-up. I like this. If people see that you're winning awards and playing at festivals,
True.
It kind of builds this mythology behind it.
But there is another aspect to it where if you have people going to the film festival and they're telling their friends about this great film, wouldn't it be beneficial if it's online already so that all these new people can go and see it right then and there?
Well, they can just contact me. I can give them
They can just track down my personal information.
look up the director. That's what film festivals are for. So many people are like, hey, I just kind of want to watch After Ashes, and that's how I got into the festivals.
Right.
It's like, I want to look at this beforehand, but we're not offering an offer quite yet. And I was like, all right, here you go. And they were like, okay, this will work. This will fit into us, so let's go. I was like, all right, that's all yours. Take it.
It's definitely a give or take.
It all depends on what you're looking for.
Yeah.
And I think with comedies, it's a little different.
Yeah.
You make a lot of comedies, and I love
I'm starting to more too.
I loved your most recent one.
Did you?
Yeah, I did.
Did you really? Still happily single?
Yes, that was it. Yeah, I thought that was fun.
Thank
Your
you.
lead actress is really good in that.
She did fantastic, didn't she? And you know, I based that film. Here's why you probably liked it. It's based partly on a real person, Nicole Roberts. If you're watching, and I love. If you noticed, I didn't change her first name. I just kept it Nicole.
Well,
yeah.
Nicole.
I'm sorry, Nicole.
Yeah,
She's had some interesting dates.
it's
Not your fault, Nicole. But maybe it is because you sure know how to pick them.
I mean, there's a lot of crazies out there.
There is.
They're not all going to be wonderful like Thomas and I.
Oh no. How could you?
Yeah, I really love Still Happily
Yeah.
Single.
So be honest with me. I know I said we're wrapping up, but
We're going to go on forever.
I want to pick your brain now. Mm-hmm. My cinematography was nothing fantastic. Does that matter for a comedy?
No.
Because why is a comedy different?
Comedy is different because if you've got distracting cinematography, you're not paying attention to what's happening. Whereas a lot of films, like films, it's distracting. Like Schindler's List has some jokes in it, believe it or not.
Does it?
Yes.
No way.
There's some hella strange comedic jokes in there that is thrown off by the fact that it's weird cinematography. Sweeney Todd has some gorgeous cinematography, but none of the jokes land in that film because of that. And that doesn't make it less of a good film. But the reason why we laugh at Dumb and Dumber is because we get to watch them just walk into the frame and do their thing. And there's a lot of the reasons like, Sitcoms are framed that way because it is funny, brightly lit, and you get to see the facial reactions. It's just what our brains are in tune to.
Well, let me ask you this then. Is it as much the cinematography as it is the editing, or is it give and take?
It's all about timing, but like Shaun of the Dead is a great film and a great comedy.
Yes, it is.
And as it gets less funny, the shadows show more. And that is a visual choice by Edgar Wright. And same with Shaun of the Dead, or
Hot Fuzz.
I was going to say Scott Pilgrim vs. the World.
Oh, okay.
Like, the comedic sections of that are shot very different than the action sections of that for a specific reason. So I think it depends. You got to go to it scene by scene. Same with as much as I love Into the Spider-Verse. That is a hilarious film, and the funnier scenes are flatly shot, and the more action-centered scenes are completely different. Same with the musical number. Like, it's shot differently than a dialogue scene. It's just the storytelling method you're going with. And for a short, that's what you should aim for. Like, your film shouldn't look like Birdman if you're trying to make me laugh, is all I'm trying to say.
Well, thank you for saying those kind words. That's nice to hear.
I mean,
from a fellow filmmaker.
The thing is, you have a calling card.
Right.
Make a film that's pretty and means nothing, like comedic. And then you make your comedic one that is flat because that's the way it needs to be. It's cinema storytelling. So don't ever feel bad about that.
Perfect. You've given me new hope.
Well, I'm just being honest.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to like bring you up like, hey, feel good about yourself despite you not doing
Don't feel
good.
too good about yourself.
Well, that's the thing. Like we're all self-conscious about our work.
Yes,
like,
we are.
Always are. And I don't want people to be self-conscious about the wrong things. Like, if you're gonna be self-conscious about things, it would be about like hearing work. Like that's my biggest issue with audio. Like I can't always get my audio where it is. Does that diminish the rest of it? No. It's all about figuring out what's bad. And if I'm too busy worrying, like, should this be funnier in my Grim Reaper dramedy thing? I'm not focusing on the things that really should be focused on. So if you're making a comedy, try not to embrace your Inarritu or whatever.
Inarritu.
Is that how you say his name?
Yeah, it's Inarritu.
Okay, thank God.
It's just funny hearing it alone without Alfonso Gonzalez Inarritu. Well, thank you. And if you want to see Still Happily Single or any of my new stuff, it is on Facebook at I'm Thomas Butcher. And I did launch a new website, I'm thomasbutcher.com. That's no apostrophe, and it's not the letter A. It's spelled I am Thomas Butcher. People are always confused. They're like, I am Thomas. No, I'm Thomas Butcher.
M. Thomas Butcher. Got it.
Oh, M. Thomas Butcher.
It's like him, except it's like said with a Cockney accent. It's M. Thomas Butcher.
I love that. Jesse, you're so much fun. You have to come back again soon.
Anytime.
Anytime you have something you want to promote, just let me know, and you're going to be here sitting in that chair. Thank you. And I hope to run into you soon at a film festival.
Oh, we will. We will.
Thank you for listening to the Thomas Butcher Podcast. New episodes are available every Monday on a variety of platforms, including iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn, SoundCloud, and more. Don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube and like us on Facebook at Thomas Butcher Podcast. Have a question? Email us at thomasbutcherpodcast@gmail.com. The Thomas Butcher Podcast is a production of the Thomas Butcher Company. This program is not responsible for loss of intelligence.